Hello, wanted to take a few minutes and go over release aids. Release aids are essentially what you connect to the bow to shoot. So one of the first release aids that you're probably going to shoot with is a finger trigger or a wrist strap. This one happens to be Carrie's, so I'm borrowing it. So bear with me because I'm also going to be doing this right-handed. Carrie is right-handed, I'm a left-handed shooter, and these things are you don't have to buy them left or right-handed, but you configure them or set them up. Some rotate and some don't. So you strap this rascal on your wrist and it goes on the inside like that. A good rule of thumb, let me get this up further, is that the clasp is right about to the ring finger, all right? So this is going to take place of our bow. This is what's called a finger sling, more on that later. But for today's all intents and purposes, I'm just going to show you how these rascals work. So after you get up to the line, after you get an arrow knocked, you attach this, and now it is attached. So as you draw the bow back, this finger, your forefinger, is going to be behind it. It's very important to be behind it. You can imagine if it's in front of it and you're trying to pull a bow, if you hit this too soon, that usually turns into something bad. So finger goes behind it, come back in, get to anchor. When you get to anchor, put your finger in front of it, find a nice happy spot. Now, the trick to this is not to punch it. That's the most common way of doing it. Well, not the most common, that's the entry-level way of doing it. But what you want to do is put your finger around it, relax your fingers, and you just pull, 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 pull until it goes. That's the basic entry-level finger sling. So that's usually what you start with. If you're getting into archery, and one of the first things you want to buy is this. It's a real, it's the personal item because it's what you're going to get used to the most and takes the most getting used to. So there's that. Now we're going to get into these type of releases, and there's 3 different types. That's why I use 3. This happens to be Chance's, so I'm using his little rascal, and I haven't practiced with this, so bear with me. So I'm going to shoot this one left-handed, so it's a little bit more. This is a tension release, a pull-through release. There's lots of different brands that make this rascal. So there's a little clasp, hook on, be set to go. Now this, you depress as you draw. As I'm depressed, it will not release, okay? So you get back to draw, and you get into your anchor, and then you just simply pull until it goes. This is Chance's, so I'm not quite used to the force. This is tuned specifically to his release pressure, how much back wall and how much tension he has. So again, get the arrow knocked, get in, depress, pull, get to draw, get to anchor, slowly release, and then using back tension, pull until it releases. So this I sort of view as the next step or the first step into using more of a back tension release. All releases you shoot with back tension, but this is the first one. The next, and this is my release, this is called a hinge. Again, we have a clasp right there. That's what hooks to the D-loop on the bow. And this, I'm gonna just give you, you can see at that angle, it's not gonna go. But what this does, and I've got very little pressure, is you rotate, it releases. So this release, it's a back tension release, but it's also called a hinge. So we come up, get to anchor, get in, wait for it. Let me do that again. I was talking over the click. You come back, get in. That click happens right when you get to anchor. Now you relax your hand while pulling and pulling and pulling until it goes. Let me do that again. So knocked on, onto the D-loop, go through your draw cycle nice and safe, wait for the click, and it should happen right when you get to anchor. Again, I was talking over it. Click. That tells you you're getting close. Relax the hand, and you pull. This is shot by relaxing and back tension at the same time, so it can be a little bit deceiving. More on that later. This is very similar. In fact, this can be a hinge, but instead what we're doing here, this is a thumb trigger. So we have a clasp that goes on the D-loop. and it's already loaded to go. Draw back with your thumb off, come back to anchor, set your thumb, and you can notice that my thumb comes up and touches. This is the way I shoot it. That was a little bit hot. Get it ready to go again here. Come back and touches. Now, I'm set at anchor and everything's good to go. My thumb has a location against my finger. You shoot it by pushing it. It's just that simple. But the way that I like to shoot this release, and I shoot it best, is if I come back, get to anchor, give my thumb somewhere to go. Now, and I've got tension on the thumb button, and as I come back and add back tension and relax my hand, you'll see my forefinger is going to move. It's not really going to move, but it's going to relax. My whole hand's going to relax. And as I come through and work through this release, see my hand extending, and it goes. Back tension release is sort of, you can assimilate it to shooting a gun. You don't hammer the trigger, you squeeze the trigger. Archery is very much the same way. So this is just a quick introduction of how to shoot. Again, you would probably start with a trigger, wrist strap. The first step, and many people tie this into a training, is doing a true back tension, and that's what Chance is learning right now, is back tension. Shoot with your back. So this is just a direct pull through. Hinge, which you shoot the same way. You just have to incorporate relaxing your hand to pull through the release. And then the thumb trigger is a great release. I think this is one of the most advanced releases to be able to shoot well. A lot of times this will come out when it's windy, so you can do more of a command shooting. I can't do any kind of command shooting. My command shooting is hammering the trigger, and it usually doesn't end that well over time. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.